jungle.
Hi everyone, welcome to another great conversation with. Today we have J.R. Cook. Hey JR.
Hello. How you doing, man?
You won't remember this, but in Britain we used to watch a program called Dallas, and it was like in the 80s, and there used to be a JR. You remember? Oh, do you know it?
I've heard the reference a couple of times. It's actually kind of new. I just started going by JR about 3 years ago. It was Jeremiah, always in the United States, and then I was going to start traveling through Asia again. And I lived in Japan a couple of years back when I was in the Marines. And,
no way! I want to go to Japan.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful country. A little hard for traveling right now though.
Yeah,
with restrictions everywhere. But yeah, I want to go back there too.
So you've done the amazing thing. I say this every time. You and I, we've never met, we've never spoke, and we connected because we allowed it to happen. And lots of people don't allow connections to happen. You put something in a group saying, I do my field's motivation. Anyone want to do a collaboration? I put, yeah. You instantly said, let's do it. Boom.
That's how you found me. I didn't even know where you came from. I just got the message and said, all right, well, let's do it.
The best, do you not think for me, like, I live my life by, I'm a connector. I've just read a book called Tipping Point, and it refers to certain people being communication connectors. I literally do it all the time. But now, if I live my life by rejection, I get rejected a lot of the minute because I'm trying to do it with different people. So I've had a lot of rejection, but not of you, my friend.
Well, it worked out great, honestly. It's kind of like working really well into the flow of my life right now. I just started growing a following over on Twitter. And so I've been really connecting with a bunch of people. And so when you reached out to me, it just kind of worked. I don't know, like I'm right now, my momentum is expansion, is networking, is like having conversations and stuff. And so it just happened to just work out that way. It was like the energy was just calling me for it. And the strange thing was, I don't really do a lot of interviews like this, but like there was no nervousness or anything like that. I was like, all right, well, cool. And even like as the time would come, like I remember I've, done a couple of talks and like they're live and there's usually like a bit of apprehension before it, but it just felt totally natural. So yeah,
this is the thing. I've had a couple of people I want to come on and they haven't. All it is a conversation. I do this all the time. I have conversations with people on video and that's all this is. Do you know what I mean? But we create these things in our minds that are bigger than what they are. And that's what stops us from doing things. I did it yesterday. Yeah. So you're filming a YouTube like me. I've been embarrassed about filming in front of people. So yesterday I got my new camera and I said, right, this camera shot, I'm going into the town where I live and I'm going to film right in the middle of it. I'm going to do a little film to camera. And I did it, massively feared it. Yesterday while doing it, my voice changed and but I did it. And tomorrow I'm going to do it again and it'll be a bit easier, sort of.
Yeah. Well, I find a lot of it has to do with focus. Like if we're focusing on what everyone around us is going to think or, what the audience is going to think or anything like that, it's going to build apprehension and, some fear, hopefully not to the point where we're paralyzed by it and not able to, follow through with what we need to do. But I think that I actually just watched something Tim Ferriss was talking about that I thought was
love him.
Really, it was really interesting. It was kind of a mindfulness type of thing where he was talking about stoicism is what he was talking about and how to overcome the fear of death. And I'll tie this into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
In that, the practice that he does is he will listen to an emotionally stirring song that might bring him sadness, might bring him, like a negative feeling on purpose. And then he will listen to something that's positive, like a positive, uplifting song right afterwards to remove himself from that sad feeling. And what that shows him or what that could show us is that these emotions are transient and that we can control them. And the same thing's true with any feelings of anxiety or apprehension. I think that we can, before maybe do some mindfulness type of action, before we do something that's, challenging or something to us, to just show ourselves like, actually, these emotions, they're very transient, and I'm really in control of them, and it's the way I'm wired that's creating this emotion right now. And, it's really not as real as I feel that it is right now.
So three things here, which I love. I love this. I had a quick look through your Facebook just before you were coming on. You and I are very similar. When I read all your stuff that you write is very similar. You just mentioned Tim Ferriss. I listened to his podcast. The guy, I can never be anywhere near him because his memory is the words he uses is phenomenal. I think he's a phenomenal. I absolutely love that podcast. I love. But the thing that you said then is something that I'm reading a book called The Untethered Soul at the minute, which is a really good book. I recommend it. And it's saying that, like the emotions that you're saying, when we're sat there, because I've got a lot of emotions going on in my life at the minute, a lot of events are going on, and I'm surrounded by people experiencing these events with me, and they're not good. They're a negative emotion. And I've learned, and it was when I read in the book, I didn't realize I was doing it. We sit and we think, and what we think and pops in our mind. Everyone thinks that's us. I've said this before. I can't remember, it was on the last show. Everyone thinks it's us, but it's not us. We just, all them thoughts that are going around our mind, they're just things that are popping in there. They're just things that are constantly going on, and there are emotions attached to all them things. So like when we meditate, we sit back and we watch these things come past, and they attach emotion. If we draw into them and lock into it, we'll feel that emotion. And when you said about the music then, I use music. I didn't know Tim Ferriss did it, but I do that as well. The same. I don't do it the same thing as what you said, but I'm learning more now that it's my choice where my emotions go. Some stuff like love, like my dog's getting older, and I absolutely love it, and I can't control that. But I can control a little bit more now what I let that emotions are going on, and I'm going to have them. But how far they go is my choice. So yeah, great point.
That's right, man. And something else that I've found, it's been critical just within the last year of my life. I've found it a lot to be really powerful in helping me to, I don't know, I've made a lot of big wins this last year. And what it's been is, I think that life can be kind of an emotional roller coaster. I think that, bad things can really compound upon each other. And then we have the emotion, which the emotion creates even more bad things because we're acting, either through impulse or even sporadically if we're feeling like we're, wheeling out of control, and so we can create more negative experiences because we're making bad choices and things like that. And what I found is, I don't think that they can be completely avoided. I've tried. I've done all sorts of experiments and stuff, like daily practices and stuff like that. And I think that the daily practices do help. But what I think that since they're unavoidable, what's important is to have a series or a protocol to follow when they happen. Okay. So where we get to the point where it's like, okay, well, I'm feeling negative today. Okay, like I'm feeling out of control right now. So I've got step by step written down right here exactly how I get out of this. And instead of allowing ourselves to free will and spiral downward for 2 weeks, to instead maybe have a day off. I was like, that was a bad day. Instead of it being like a bad week or a bad month, You
and I were alike.
Yeah.
Ridiculously.
So, I think that's key is, because like I said, no one's perfect. Like I think that trying to grasp for perfection is it's setting ourselves up to be very frustrated. But we can grasp for excellence, and what is that level of excellence? We can't set that standard at perfection, but we can set that standard at pretty freaking good, and that's what I aspire toward.
I feel like I'm mirroring with you. Like you've just come up with you're both points there. And I shot a video about 8 weeks ago called five steps to get back to your mindset. And it's about what you just said about because you do, like I had one maybe yesterday, day before, it just I was fine. And then a few things happened and I let the emotion of them in. And for a few hours, they got me. And then I had to go back to my thing. My thing is, there were 5 things where I like walking. I love walking. I think walking is food for the soul. It just helps with everything. And when I'm walking, I'm connecting with people. When I'm connecting with people, I feel their energy. So I do a number of them things. But the other one you said, I went for on my last video that's going out today is called, this is really ironic what you just said. It's called Give Yourself a Break. Last week, the same thing had happened again. I just thought, I'm taking the day off. And I went for a walk in the mountains and I filmed my day in the mountains of me giving myself a break. And it just changed my thoughts again. I got back to nature and it was great. Oh, that's mad that you came up with them.
That sounds wonderful, man. I'm taking a day off tomorrow. I'm going for a nice 4-hour ride around a mountain up here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I think it's going to be pretty good.
So I saw that. That's where you are at the minute.
Yeah. I'm currently in Chiang Mai. Kind of, sticking around. There's a lot of craziness with the lockdowns happening and quarantines and all kinds of stuff. So I'm just kind of laying low at the moment. And so, I'll be going out, hanging out with some elephants, probably going through some forests, some mountainous terrain and stuff, just taking some time. I think it's important because I look at myself kind of as a creature, as an animal, and maybe there's something higher than that that's writing inside of here. But I think that in a lot of ways, I have certain biological and psychological needs. And if I'm not meeting them because, the story that I'm telling myself is, well, I have to achieve this, it's like, well, I want to write a book, but I want to do it in 2 weeks, or just crazy things that I've come up with in my mind before, and it's like, well, I can do it, and I think a lot of that's programming from the Marines. Like, they're like, it's just push and push and push until something is completed. But what happens when I do that is like, I might achieve it, but one, it's not going to be the best product that I can create. And two, I'm just going to crash after that. And I'm like not going to be productive at all for weeks, And so what you're talking about is taking that day off and going for that hike. And by the way, walks are magic to me.
Magic.
I totally agree with that. It's like some of the best ideas come from walks. And, it's, I was doing walks every morning until here recently. I should really kick that back in just because
what I do. Like every morning I go for a walk.
Every morning.
And we're starting now. That's why I got the GoPro. I've been a bit lost with my videos, and the podcast is great. We can talk about things, what motivates us, what makes us enjoy life more. But I was a bit lost with my videos, and I've realized that I walk every day on these videos, and I'm going to include my walks because I see that as important. Like you're identifying that we've got to respect ourselves and treat ourselves with a bit more respect than we pay to anything else, and we're doing that at the minute. So I do that with my walks every day. Like what you're saying, you're going to take that. Are you going to film tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to see
so I just got an attachment that goes on my motorcycle. It plug right into my Osmo Pocket, and so I'll be taking off with that, filming the whole way. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I haven't scheduled enough time for myself, and so this is something that I'm prioritizing now, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to because, like, I make a lot of videos. I'm just sitting in the office, and I'm just going off about different topics and things. Yeah. And but I've wanted to be going out into nature because that's really who I am. Like I like to talk more in a philosophic sense. I like to talk deep on topics, but I find when I'm sitting in here, it's like, okay, well, what does the keyword research say that I should be making a video on YouTube about? What are people going to watch? What's the market want? And so I get the video. I'm like, okay, well, how do I deliver this result to people? Make some bullet points, boom, boom, boom. If they can do this, this, and this, then they get this result. By the way, search me out on YouTube, J.R. Cook. But
and the other one is as well. How old are you?
Sure. I'm 33.
How old are you? How old?
33.
23?
33.
Oh, 33, my favorite number. You wrote a book. You've wrote a book, which is amazing. So you can search that as well. What's your book called? I was just following on. You're on.
Stop Procrastinating, Start Living. I actually wrote 2 books. I wrote one's called Walking in Truth. But Walking in Truth. I'm not really here to promote the book. I'd rather promote
I found
YouTube.
It ironic. You wrote a book. I am a procrastinator. When we were going to talk, we're going to talk a little bit today. We were including about procrastination, and when you said you wrote a book, I'm a little bit of a procrastinator. It's something I want to work on personally. It's one of my flaws, and I found that ironic.
Well, the thing about books and the way that I approach it and look at it, so that it isn't such a momentous task. I worked as a ghostwriter as well, so I've written a couple of other books for other names that I can't mention. But for me, it's about breaking it down. Like you take like this huge book, you have this whole concept, and then the way that I try and approach pretty much anything is I outline everything. I outline my days. I outline my YouTube videos. I outline everything in the exact same way, like projects. If I'm going to go through a course or if I'm going to create a product or something, it's all outlined the same way. And at the top, it's like, what is it that I really want to achieve here? Like, what is the goal? And the goal isn't, I try and keep it away from like, well, I want to make this much money, or I try and keep it away from, well, I just want to have this course. I try to do like, okay, well, if I'm going to make a product, the outcome should be, okay, well, what is the result that I want to deliver? And not just the result that I want to deliver, but what is it that I want to happen for this person? Well, I want their life to change. Or in a video, I want someone to be able to approach that person, that they want, and have the confidence to get them, or at least talk to them and try, right? And then I say, well, the same thing with the book, Stop Procrastinating, Start Living. Well, I want people to eliminate procrastination from their life forever. I want them to have the confidence to rely on themselves, to believe in themselves, that if they decide to do something, that they can do it, and that they can plan accordingly, because that is life-changing. Once you get to that place, it's just like, well, okay, there's no limits anymore. It's like if you have that feeling of nervousness about committing to decisions, because you're like, well, I don't know if I'm going to follow through with this, then that limits you in life. And so so that was the outcome of that book. I was like, well, to eliminate procrastination in the lives of the reader forever, right? And then I said, well, what do I need in order to achieve this? I was like, well, this needs to happen. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. Changing those neural associations, NLP type of stuff. Doing some kind of memory altering things, going back in time and changing memories to be more empowering, changing mindsets, beliefs, and and all of these things, and automatic responses, habits, stuff like that, and having a vision helps. But so all of these things need to happen within this book. Well, okay, I just start with one of them. I stop paying attention to the whole book, because looking at the whole book, that seems like a big deal. Right. But writing a chapter of a book, okay, well, how many words is this going to be? I was like, okay, well, what if I could break down this chapter even bigger? All right, so what is it that I want to achieve with this chapter? Just outline it the same way I just outlined the book, make some bullet points. All right, well, if I want to change, the associative conditions in someone's mind between emotion and certain beliefs, so like some people believe I'm not a good writer. Actually, a lot of people believe I'm not a good writer. That actually helped me a lot when I was doing copywriting.
I don't believe that. I can tell you are a good. I've not read your book, but you're good at articulating your words. It's a definite strength of yours.
So a lot of people really believe that they're that they just can't write, and so I've had all these conversations with people, and so first thing is like really changing these beliefs. And so what needs to happen? A, B, C, D, and then you just go off with it, writing a book. So chapter 1, I'm writing this bullet point, I'm writing this bullet point, I'm writing this bullet point, I'm writing this bullet point. And that's what I do. I just create little subsections, right? And then I just go off. I'm like, all right, what's everything that I know right now on this? And if it happens to be something that I'm not a particular, it's just not fresh on my mind, then I'll refresh my memory. I'm like, okay, well, this section that I'm writing today, and like, you don't have to write that much every day. You can just write for like 30 minutes. Write 30 minutes, that's 500 words or something. I usually write like an hour, get 1,000 words. If I'm really flying, like 2,000.
You're still doing that now? You're doing 1,000 words a day now? Are you on with that now?
Yeah, I have a book right now, Discipline, Decision, Drive. and I don't know when that one's going to be finished. I'm hoping to have it out by this summer. That's why I'm building a Twitter following right now, and I'm building over on YouTube because I want to establish a market to sell it to. That was the problem with Stop Procrastinating, Start Living, as I tried to do it backwards, right? So I was like, I'll just make this book, and then I'll establish an audience after that. And he's like,
I know, but
it didn't really work out that way.
But this is part of your third book. Everyone gets better as they go through life, and every little stage is moving them on to the next stage. And I can clearly see the first one you did, you made your mistakes because you're telling them it. And now you're seeing what mistakes you made then, and you're rectifying it. And if you're going forward thinking, what the first one, how could I make that better? And you're doing it. I can hear it in your words.
I think that challenges are really there to strengthen us. You know, if you go to the gym and you're not pushing against massive resistance, then you're not getting any stronger. You know, and you go to the gym and you haven't been there for a while, it might even be a bit painful at first. You know, the next day you're like, ooh, I'm sore, you know, but without that pain, there can be no benefit, there can be no growth. And so I think the same is true with
Jordan Peterson said this great thing about that. I love it. I have said it in a few of my videos. I almost feel like I'm saying the same things. But he said, do you know, like at the end of every video game, you have to fight the dragon. And you fight the dragon and you win the gold at the end of it. So life's got lots of dragons in it, isn't it? So we're full of dragons. And if we didn't have dragons to fight, then we wouldn't want to win the gold at the end of it. The gold would have no value without the dragon. So we have to face the fear or whatever it is in order to get what it is that we want. And we're not going to move on unless we keep going for it. Because you can be a stagmate. You just stay where you're ever because you're too scared to do anything different. And you're not that. The fact, listening to you, you are a little bit inspiring me. In the book thing, I'm dyslexic. I'm not making excuses, Matt. I don't think about words in the same way. I'm educated and stuff, but I don't enjoy it because it's constantly thinking of one of my battles in what a tiny word is or grammar and all that kind of thing. But listening to you, you're going to write awesome books, and I might have a connection with you for books. Through doing this, I've ended up connecting with a lot of people, and one of my things I'm doing is every Thursday morning, I don't know what time that is, but there's two guys in Indonesia, a guy in America, all over the world. We're doing like it's called Wild Man Freedom. It's for men, and it's for men to be allowed to say what's going on with you, be vulnerable around educated, entrepreneurial people and spiritual. And we do a Zoom session, and one of them's a best-selling author. He was my very first podcast, a guy called John Michael Morgan, lives in Tennessee. He's very successful at marketing books, and someone like that being around will give you I can see it on it, and he is. If you watch on my channel, the very first one I did, he's on it. He's phenomenal. I could invite you to come on our Zoom session it's Thursday UK at 7 a.m. So in America, that's what he does it. He was doing it at 2 o'clock in the morning, during the night, because he's, you know, that might be someone for you. That might be the connection that I was meant to give you, because I believe in universal connections, and maybe I'm a gateway for you for that, because you are going to be a good writer. I can tell it. Your detail is listening to you is reminding me of what my flaws are. If you know what I mean. You have I like listening to you. I'm gonna read your procrastination book because I'm a procrastinator. You've sold
well,
one already.
I would appreciate the connection. That would be excellent. I would also compliment you, you know, on saying that whenever I hear someone talking about a weakness within themselves, I'm so actually happy about that, because, you know, I think that's a little counterintuitive to say, because, you know, it's like, well, you should be confident and stuff, but I think that exactly, it's like you are confident enough, and accurate, you know, it's like the opposite of arrogance, to be like, okay, well, I'm self-aware enough to view myself statistically, you know, and see what metrics I might be below where I'd like to be.
Yeah, that's where I am. You're right.
And so it's like, and that's where motivation comes from, or drive comes from, in my perspective, is that, you know, if we see where we want to be and then we see where we are, that generates enough pain to take action. I do that kind of systematically with myself. Is, you know, every week or 2 weeks, I'll go through, and I've got like this whole set of my stats that I go through, and it's like, okay, well, where am I today? Where am I right now between where I am, like, what is my number, and where do I want to be? You know, and I'm like, why am I here? And am I at least making progress? And if I'm not making progress, then it's like this feeling of almost guilt. And guilt's typically seen as a negative emotion, but I think that if it can inspire us to take action in a positive direction, then it can be a positive thing. I think most emotions can be used to our own benefit. All right. And so, I mean, I would suggest to people waiting for Discipline, Decision, Drive, if you're going to read one of my books, because this is going to, I wrote Stop Procrastinating, Start Living. And it's like it's kind of like a toolbox. It's like a toolbox that has everything you need. But I think this book is going to be way more comprehensive. And
I can tell. I can tell you. I can feel. I flipped through your Facebook. I saw when we connected. I had a watch one of your videos of you talking. I thought, we're quite similar. As I flick through, we've got very similarities in what our thoughts are. Because I found it hard at different times to define what it is I'm doing. But then I've remembered that, like, I remembered what my journey is I've learned to get through life, have lots of things happen to me that are big things that might have knocked other people down. Nothing knocks me down. I just think that life is about, things will knock me down temporarily, of course, because I've got emotions, like what you're saying, emotions come on. But at some point, you have to stand back from them emotions and think, what's happening here? Because they seem to be defining me rather than me defining my situation. So, I'm loving this chat. I'm loving it. I can see why people would watch you on your channel for definite.
I'm enjoying the conversation too. Like I said, I don't really talk to too many people on camera like this, but I think that it's something that I could really enjoy. Like that was the first thought when you reached out to me. I had another guy reach out to me even, a couple of weeks ago, and I looked at his stuff and it just didn't seem like a good fit. And then you reached out to me, and I checked out some of your stuff. I was like, yeah, I can have a chat with this guy. This is gonna be great.
You allowed the connection. And if I want to sit, like this morning, I went on my dog walk. Every day, my videos, my dog walk, and I should do snippets of motivational stuff as we go. So I'm on my dog walk today, and every single day, I connect with not a dog walk. There was a woman out today, and we stopped, and we had 30 seconds. I made a laugh. We had a little bit of a thing. I walked off. How do I know that connection that I made? I don't know that I made her day, because my day is made up of many connections, but some people don't have any. Some people stop themselves. Like, I've tried to connect with some other YouTubers because I've looked at the stuff and thought, I love this. There's one woman, and I loved her stuff. I thought we would be perfect for this, and she's just blown me out. Just this week, she did it in a really nice way of blowing me out. She blew me out in in a really nice way, which made it even harder for me to take. But I made a thought. I thought, I'm gonna grow my channel so she will want to do that with me. She eventually, because she might be caught with my channel smaller than hers, and there's nothing in it for her. Whereas I don't see things. I don't see what I'm getting out of someone else. I see, I saw you put, let's connect. This is my genre, and I thought, that's me. This is I like this. I like, this is cool, and I'd like to think that other people listen to it and start to experiencing that. I'm hopeful that you've been honest about yourself, and I'm honest about myself. Like the dyslexic thing, it's not a barrier. My kids do all the spelling. I know now that, like, even on my videos, I'm getting someone else to write my stuff because they're just better. So I realize they're better at it. I reckon a lot of my mates, I'm fitter than them, and if it comes to a run, I'll run better than them. Or I'll do better in the gym, whereas they're really good at driving. Everyone's got a strength, and I like to play to my strengths. So, and books
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was just writing something the other day. I think it was a Twitter post about knowing yourself. Knowing yourself, knowing your strengths and playing your strengths, but also knowing your weaknesses, is just owning them. Be true with who you are. That way you can mitigate them, because by ignoring the weaknesses, pretending like they're not there, they're not going to get any better, and they're going to hold you back. Right? Yeah. By saying, you know what, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm not good at, then you're able to say, okay, well, I'll take the things that I'm not good at, and I'll hire someone out to do it that's better than me, or something like that. Like, there's a ton of things that I'm not great at that I just don't do. I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this effectively. I gotta hire this out. I just gotta do it. And so
it's interesting. People do it in relationships, don't they? Like, you have two people in a relationship, and then one of them has a need, and then they realize the other person's not giving it them, and they fixate
Yes.
on that person not giving that need. And the other person can either think, like happens with me a lot, I think, I don't do that, but that makes them happier. So I'm going to start doing it. Some people might say that you're being walked on. I think that's about me making my life happier by thinking, I don't get why they want that, but I understand what it's like to want something and not get it. So if I do that little thing and make that change and makes them happier, guess who else is happier? It's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that needs in a relationship are an important part of any relationship. I mean, not just a sexual relationship in nature, but any relationship with our family, relationship with our friends. And if we can really just understand kind of universal principles of people, and we can really break down the different elements of people's psychological needs and like what it is that satisfies a person, and realize that across cultural lines, across family lines, people meet these different needs in different ways. Then we're able to understand more fully in a relationship of any capacity that we find ourselves in, why this person is acting this way, and why they need that need. And sometimes maybe even people don't really know why they're acting a certain way too.
Yeah.
And there are several different ways to meet different needs. I mean, everybody has some need for security.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to think about higher level concepts if people are shooting guns outside. It's like, well, okay, I gotta get safe, And so that's like a really base level of it. But some people take it to the extreme to where it's like, man, I gotta know exactly how I'm going to retire in 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to live my life in accordance with that. And, and then there are other ways of doing that too. It's like, well, I'm certain that I can always pull through. I'm certain that I'm not going to die. I'm confident in my abilities, and I find certainty in that way, and that's what allows me to live an unconventional lifestyle, to take off to a country and just be like, okay, well, I don't know anyone here. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. And so I'm able to draw from that. And so in a relationship, I kind of view things from that angle. I see.
Are you in one? Are you in a relationship?
I am currently in a relationship. Yeah.
Someone
I'm in a relationship.
Traveling with them?
She's Burmese. She's from Myanmar.
So she's in Thailand now?
Yeah. She's in Thailand.
Girl.
Yeah. And so with her, with anyone, like with children that I'm around or anyone in my life, I'm like, okay, well, why? I mean, I don't overanalyze everything. Okay. But if there's something and it's a negative thing that's happening, if I see somebody doing something and it's hurting themselves, or if it's hurting someone else, I'm going to say, okay, well, what need are they filling right now? And sometimes it's really on me. So like in my relationship, and I see, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but and I see her start to treat people harshly.
Okay.
She has this thing where she's just like, and I say, okay, well, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody do that? And what that can be is it makes someone feel significant, because maybe I've been spending a little bit too much time on my work. Maybe I've been spending a little too much time only focusing on certain things that are not her.
Yeah, you're not getting the time, not making them. Yeah.
It's the time. And so I say, okay, well, there's that, and there's connection. Everyone's got to feel connected, and we'll get that in a positive or a negative way. So if we're not connected in a positive way, then there are lower forms of that. I mean, getting in an argument with someone is connection. And I think a lot of people, I think that's where like a lot of cheating comes in relationships. Is cheating, it's not as fruitful or beneficial as being in a relationship, for example,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
if you're cheating with someone. But what it is it's a lower form of connection.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of like a junk food form of connection. It's
Yeah.
not like, health food, definitely, but it at
Mm.
least satiates that desire temporarily.
Yeah,
All
yeah. It's
right,
like a
and
temp fix, but it brings a
it's a
lot of
temp
joy.
fix.
You
Yeah,
said it
I
before,
think.
guilt, what comes from that. The feeling of guilt is one of the strongest of emotions, and it's why most killers are caught, because that guilt means that they have to tell someone. And that's the same with
Yes.
like I I've had people, like you're talking about people having other relationships. I've known of a guy who's had 2 girlfriends for 6 years, and he found a way of living with them both and going on holidays in my town. This was many years ago. But it's like, first, you look at the outside that you think, who would do that? But you know what
Uh,
happened? What he did was, the one he was going out with, he obviously fell out with her one day, and he had this date. He did something wrong. Next minute, it happened again. Without him, he didn't plan to have 2 relationships. I don't know this, but I'm just saying it from the outside. So that's
okay.
happened then, isn't it? Next minute, he's living these 2 lives, but then he's got to a point he loves them both. And I could never do that, because I wouldn't allow it to happen. But he's allowed it to happen. And sometimes, say it accidentally happened, which I totally believe it could. Feelings could have come from an accidental event that you'd have done. And then next minute, he's in love with 2 people, and he ended up going tits up with him. He lost both of them. But things like that happen. It would be unrealistic to say. You see lots of things in life, and you think, nah, that's not real. It is, else it wouldn't have happened. It's just not real to your life. You don't see that. And I think one of the things of being in a relationship is starting to understand what the other person sees things as differently. That's but yeah, this is a definite recommendation not to have, people who have imagine having an affair, what you'd feel like. All the time, you got to be putting pressure on yourself. Does it stop you doing it? No, because your circumstances have been drawn to that for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that that's something important to think of as well. To go a little further on that is, and to realize that what it is that a person's asking for might not be what a person even needs, because like I think the reason why social media is so prolific and why it's become an issue for so many people is because it's another one of those quick fixes. A person thinks that they want to scroll on Facebook, but what they might really want is, to go have fun with their friends, but they don't even think about that, because it's so easy. It's so easy. Or, you get into an elevator with someone. I think you guys call it a lift, but you get in, and then someone attractive comes in. I mean, someone that you might want to have a conversation with this individual, but do you have the conversation with this individual, or is it way easier to just pull out your smartphone, pretend like you're doing something, or, I mean, it's less abrasive, especially if you fear rejection. But in a relationship, for me, what I've found is, and I've been in a few of them over the years, and what I've found is, when I was a little younger, I might shift my behaviors more than I do now, because
What do you mean,
like
shift your behaviors? What do you mean by that?
I would change. If she said that she wanted something, I would consider. I'd say, oh, that's fair enough, but I'd do it. But then what I'd find over time is that she'd be less attracted to me, right?
Okay.
And
I get
because there's a certain element of being yourself,
yeah,
right, that's required. And if you slide away from that far enough, that's going to create anxiety and stress within yourself, which is in turn going to, it's kind of like it gives you a meta negative effect that affects you in all these other areas of your life as well. So your confidence goes down a little bit, and I think it changes the dynamic. And so the way that I ask is, if she asks me to do something, if she wants something, I say, okay, why does she want this? And that sounds a little deep. It sounds like it could be a negative thing. It does. Like, I get that, but I don't do it
You're you.
and I don't do it manipulatively. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
say, okay, I'm like, why does she want this? Like, what need is this really going to fulfill for her? And then I say, okay, well, and I think about it. I'm like, what could be better that could allow me to remain true to myself and meet this need for her? And then I just propose it. I say, hey, listen, like, I don't think that this is going to be really good for me or good for us for me to act this way, like what you're saying. But here's what I came up with. I'm like, what if I tried this? What if we tried this? You know, how would you feel about that?
How does it go
And
down? How does it go
100%
down?
of the time it works. So
Okay.
far.
Okay.
Crossing my
What
fingers,
you
right?
don't match what they say, you give an alternative of something similar. Or you're matching what they say. You're just saying, okay,
I mean, yeah, it's an alternative. I mean, okay, so if
it's interesting because you've made me flip on we talk about relationships and not necessarily a partner. I think about some of my mates, my relationships with my mates. I've got one guy, whenever we go cycling, we only ever go at his time, how far he wants to go. It's all him, but we're doing it together and he's one of my best mates. It's always
yeah,
him and I have to do what he does or else we don't do it. He won't ever administer what about my life. I think he gets a bit caught up in him. And I think people do that, don't they? You know, sort of. And I'm maybe more that person who'll go, all right, I think if I don't do what he wants, I won't get to cycle with him. So I'll just do it and I'll get round it. And then he'll change the plan again to fit him again. And it's like, oh, I've just changed my whole life to do this for you. And now you've changed it. So it happens all the time in all relationships, doesn't it? Sort of.
yes, yeah, absolutely. I don't know. To me, I guard my stress levels very
Same.
strong. Like,
Same.
you know,
Exactly the same.
if, you know, and so shifting my priorities based upon someone else's whims like that, I probably wouldn't be cycling with him for very long, just to tell you the truth.
Are you cycling tomorrow, not riding a bike? You're going cycling.
Yeah, exactly.
I love cycling. Do a lot of cycling. I live in the Lake District in the UK, so in the mountains. So there's just
Nice.
so much good cycling, walking, and all kinds of stuff where I live. It's a blessing.
Nice.
Not like I see tomorrow because I've watched some videos on Thailand with the elephants going through all the things. And when you told me about it before, I a little bit envied it because I've been watching quite a lot of stuff, and I love elephants. I've been seeing them in the wild, so I've seen elephants and whatnot.
Yeah,
Sounds cool. Sounds like good. I think sounds like you've got a good thing going on over there. Sounds good. Sounds nice.
it's a good setup. You know, it's a good setup, and I'm enjoying myself. There are other places and things that I'd like to see and do. One of my larger ambitions in life that I'm trying to position myself to attempt next. I'd like to sail. I'd like to sail around the world.
Right.
But you know, so I'm looking at catamarans, and I think
the race. My mate was in the race. Does that
I don't really want a race though. Like I don't, you know, maybe if I were if I were in my early 20s, you know, that might be something like, how fast can I do it? You know, but
in his 50s. My mate.
I'd like to do it. I'd like to do it over the course of 2-3 years.
Right.
And just really take my time and stop in different nations and go around and learn.
Yeah.
You know, and write there. And, you know, I think that could be an excellent book in the future, or making YouTube videos. I'll just buy one of those Starlinks from Elon, and I'll have I'll have some great internet. I'll just be out there live streaming like, look around.
If I was
middle of the ocean.
I'd have to say no, because I am so seasick. Like the thought, I forgot I was seasick recently. I went on this boat and it was the most horrendous 5 hours of my life. And then it reminded me of why I'd not been on a boat since. So yeah, I couldn't, you know, if I was in a relationship with someone and they said, yeah, I really like boats, I need you to come on the boat more, at that point, I'd have to go, I want to do everything for you, but I cannot and will not do that.
Well, I never said it's easy to be in a relationship with me.
No.
All right. I have very strict principles. I think that in the very root of who I am as a philosopher, there are certain principles and ideals that I just adhere to more than I think is ideal. I think that it's a net negative for my interpersonal relationships. Sometimes I think that it's a net negative, but something compels me toward truth. And I think that the absolute truth is not necessarily what provides for the best life all the time. And
Good point.
And so it's kind of it's a give take, because there's a certain element of satisfaction, personal satisfaction, that comes from unlayering the onion, or digging deeper into the fundamental truths of the universe, or understanding principles from a deeper level. But at the same time, nobody around you is looking at things that deeply. And so it's like,
well, I am. So you and I, this is what I said. You and I are very similar. Like I don't quite articulate it as well as you, but you are very. Just hear you saying that, but I've had to come to realize not everyone's like me, and if I tell everyone about everything about me, they won't get it. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty much sure I could tell you them things, and you'd understand it from your level. You might not see the same as it, but what time is it now in Thailand?
It is 6:30 in the afternoon.
So 6:30 in the afternoon. So what time would 7 a.m. would be to you? The UK 7 a.m. would be. So that's in. Just thinking, I think you'd really like this thing that I do on a Thursday morning. Tomorrow morning, and you could be in it tomorrow. I do it in whatever. So I'm doing it in.
I think that it's early afternoon. I remember kind of doing the math a little bit when you were.
Right, yeah, you're taking the day off
about
the week after. I think you use the word truth. You use the word truth, and these guys, basically, two guys in Indonesia do a lot of spiritual awakening, but they also are coaches. So one's a British lad and one's a lad from South Africa. You would love them. You would absolutely love them.
I'll probably be on a mountain at that point, but
the week
if I have reception tomorrow, I'll pop into a coffee shop. Like they're everywhere, and I'll have that chat with you guys.
I'll add you to this group that we're in, and I'll put down, this is my friend such and such, I'm adding him in. It's something. Do you know why I did it? I'm the new yes guy, yeah? Apart from if you ask me to go on a boat, it goes against all my principles. I know that I'm not going to enjoy it, so I'll say no. But if someone asks me something, on the whole, I say yes. Someone asked me about skydive last night. I don't know. He's asked me to go in and swim in a freezing cold lake. I said, yeah, I don't want to. I said, yeah. He wants to do a what? I said, yeah. I say yeah to things. And when this group came about, someone offered me, and I said, yeah, I have loved it. It's something, I love meditation. I am doing it actually more now. I have a little morning routine. I've seen you've got one. I've got my own little one going. We've got a lot. And it's really opened me up to being different, because it's not normally where I'd be, but it's amazing. You call each other brothers now. We're all Zoom. So it's on a Zoom. There's like 9 of us, and we just tell each other stuff that I don't tell my best mate. My best mate is, my best mates are the most important things, and they guide me through life. But I don't tell them certain things because I tell it to other people. I use my best mates to not talk about serious stuff. I'm there to talk about our existing lives, and stuff like this gives you. It's just brilliant. I'd recommend it. So I'm going to recommend it to you. If you don't do tomorrow, it's every Thursday from then on, sort of thing. But
yes, I'll do it.
Yeah.
It sounds good. I mean, I've only really recently found true value in networking like that. I joined a group of individuals who are kind of slaying it over on Twitter, and the conversations that we talk, I mean, some of them are making great money. I mean, decent money, right? So a guy, he threw out a tweet the other day, and he made $400 just on a tweet. It was a well-written tweet, but he wrote it, and it took him 5 minutes, and it's just like boom. And I was like, wow, this is really incredible, talking to these guys about this. And we talk about investment, and we talk about like all these different things, and growth, in particular. And so talking, I think, on deeper subjects, and honestly, and I think that's like the key. That's the key. I think that what happens with close friends that we might have grown up with or something is that there's an identity issue there. They see us a certain way, where we have a certain identity with this person. They have a certain identity with us, and none of us really want to unbalance that, because that's going to create like arguments or whatever. It's like freaking we're now wrestling, or we're like in a headlock, and like all this crazy stuff happens, and so I think that that's the thing. But like when we're able to really connect with people just fresh, and we're able to start with the foundation of honesty,
Yeah,
with
that's you.
the
I
foundation
never
of
thought of it like that. You've just said it, but we don't in this group. It's not like your normal. Because I do loads of networking, and funny enough, we're all entrepreneurs. What I've realized, there's one police officer in it, but everyone else is an entrepreneur. Done some quite big things with the stuff. That's just chance. Maybe entrepreneurial people, they're actually quite open entrepreneur. They're ready to do different things. They're ready to accept new ideas. They're ready to accept new concepts. They're ready to look at themselves of changing, because the changes we make in ourselves impact on our life. Today was about procrastination. I wrote a lot of lists. I haven't actually talked about any, but I've loved talking. But one of mine is procrastinating is I'm in a building. I have this commercial building that I'm in now. I rent offices out. I've got a business in it. There's no one in it. I mean, we're in lockdown in the UK. I think I heard someone in it then that soon this is going to be a problem, because I've took the office downstairs where people come. But my procrastinating on the top office was, I'm a people person. Sit in an office all day and don't see anyone, I lose my spark, my energy, my drive. So I've come down here. It might be more problematic. And there's no windows. So it's a room with no windows. Like the backdrop looks so pretty good. There's no window next to it. It's windowless. If I shut the door, I can't breathe. Because the other day I did a film in here, and I started thinking, it's a bit funny. I'd shut the door. There's nobody oxygen in here. It was like the maddest thing. So I have to have the door open. But it's one of my things to stop procrastinating. I didn't realize that's why I was doing it. But when I started identifying, because I started researching procrastinating this morning, and I came up with this great list that we haven't gone through, but we've gone through, I think, much better. And I've preferred, I think we've talked about procrastinating a lot, but I'm like for instance, after this, I'm not getting any light in here. So if I have to make calls or write something, I'm going outside to do it if the weather's all right. Yes. And if you know anything about the UK, you'll know that it rains a lot. Have you been to the UK?
I never have. No, I have a couple of friends that live over there. One of my good friends, he's a digital nomad. He just moved back over. He married a girl in the Philippines, and he just got back over to the UK, and he just had a kid.
No, do you know where he is?
Facebook. Not exactly. No,
Right.
I remember he mentioned it, but I knew him. We got pretty close over the couple of months that he was here at a co-working space I was staying at, and and then he took off. That's kind of the nature of things around here.
Yeah.
You meet people, you get close, especially with the digital nomad community, and you might see him in a couple of years. It's like, well, I'm going to Bali. I'm going to the Philippines. All right, I'll see you. And
I think
you'll do
this. Let me just chuck this out there, right? That I think is going to happen. Right, I'm going to chuck this out there, and we're quite good at this. I think you're going to do one of these sessions that I do, and you'll be perfect for it, and it'll blow your mind, because it isn't about. We don't talk about. It's whatever gets directed. We talk about that time. It's not about work. It's about us as human beings, our emotions, our feelings, what's going on in our life. That I tell them people stuff I don't tell anyone, because I didn't know. I know them now. They're like brothers. It's phenomenal. And eventually they're going to charge for this service. They've already brought it up. It started off free, and when we first were like, but I really like it. They're not charging yet, but they really are doing it for a reason. But you are going to do it, and then you're going to end up going to Bali because of it. Because it's drawn me to want. I've never thought I'd go to Bali, but these two lads are in Bali, and they're having the time of their lives. And if you're a traveler, you're going to want to go there, and this is going to be, this is a universal gateway for you. I just feel it. I don't know.
Could be. Someone was talking about synchronicity the other day, and it got me really thinking about things that, I noticed strange things happen. It's just like the universe lines up in so many powerful ways, just
massive,
and it's like, I can't really even begin to define it or explain it, but I try,
let's not talk about it now, but our next session, right? Because I'm hoping that you're going to want to do it. Let's talk about universe, because it's really important to me, and I never really discuss it, but I found that over the last 7 years, I had a different thing before that, and it's really opened my life up to having the life that I want and experience. And it's not mean that everything's going well. It means that I know it will go well when I allow it. So let's end this broadcast now. Thanks for coming. But I want to do another one with you, and I feel you're going to want to do it as well. And we could do that as the subject if you don't mind.
Sounds fun, man. Sounds fun. Let's do it.
Cool. So I'll end this, but you stay on, and we'll have a bit of a chat afterwards. But yeah, thanks, JR. I've really enjoyed it, and I really want to do it again.
All right. Appreciate it. I'll see you next time.